Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. A major New Hampshire meeting of housing and business leaders has just looked at the critical New Hampshire housing shortage and some solutions reminiscent of the mid-1900s, which we'll describe in the next few minutes with my guest, Rob Dappers, who is Executive Director of New Hampshire Housing, who led that meeting in Manchester and is in the studio with me right now. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Fred.
Nice to have you here. Let's get right to a couple of eye-popping presentations that show the shortage of the housing units in the state. And here's a chart that shows the estimated number of owner and renter units needed in New Hampshire based on population growth, almost 60,000 units between 2020 and 2030 on the top of the chart, and nearly 90,000 units between 2020 and 2040 on the bottom of the chart. Rob, walk us through this.
Sure. Thank you, Fred. So this came from our statewide housing needs analysis that we published last year, and a lot of people recognize that we're in a housing crisis. That's not news to most people, but I think what this shows, based on a lot of demographic projections and population analysis, is that that need is continuing to grow, and so the imbalance between supply and demand is going to get worse before it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And because of the demographic work that goes into this study, you can see the breakdown of different types of households, but I think the bottom line is that demand is continuing to grow, and that we really need to work on solutions at the city, town, and state level.
Yeah, absolutely, which is what you're in the business to do.
Right.
Your meeting also focused on the New Hampshire Zoning Atlas, and you have to tell me what that is, and some significant statewide findings that are shown in these next few maps. As this one is the first one. Let's put it up there. This is a small lot, single family situation, and the map is shows the problem. What are we looking at?
So a lot of people in New Hampshire live in starter homes and came to New Hampshire because they could find a starter home, and that's been an important ingredient in our economic vitality and the growth of our communities over the last couple of decades.
So the colors represent what?
Purple means it's prohibited by regulation to build small lot single family.
Wow.
And that's basically what you need in order to create starter homes. And so this essential ingredient in what has made our state thrive has basically been zoned out in much of the state.
Now this next map shows a small lot for family, 5+ families, which is a multifamily, of course, and the map kind of looks similar.
That's right. It's illegal in most areas of the state, and most of virtually every community in the state. Not every community, but it's important to recognize this is not just big multifamily that you see in the cities, but small multifamily exists in a lot of communities. However, in most cases, it was built before the advent of zoning regulations that made it illegal.
Right. And then this final map shows small lot, single family potential in Manchester, an urban area, and the restrictions. Now that's the area, that map shows the area of Greater Manchester, and again, we have a lot of purple.
Right, and this is sort of a deeper dive into finding number one, which looks at the opportunities for small lot, single family, and starter homes. And this is an area of the state, our largest metro area, where that kind of new housing would have a big impact on people's ability to find affordable housing, to contribute to the workforce, and you see very few opportunities in the communities around Manchester.
And that purple is indicative of that.
That's right.
Okay. Now, your meeting on the housing crisis wrapped up with one of your presenters, Ed Pinto, co-director of the American Enterprise Institute's Housing Center, who made these two statements that puts it all in perspective. And here's the first one. We're living through one of the greatest housing crunches the U.S. has ever known. It's resulted in record numbers of homelessness and entire generations certain they will never become homeowners. And then there's this quote. There is a simple solution to the problem, he says. Legalize duplexes, triplexes, smaller lots, and other forms of light touch density housing, allowing the market to build more affordable options for more Americans. Rob, are we building light density housing in New Hampshire?
There's a few communities that are doing a great job, and the state passed an accessory dwelling unit law that allowed more of that kind of construction, that incremental development across the state in 2016. But we need a lot more, and we need cities and towns to lead the way, and some are doing it, but we need more to join in.
I mean, we built triple deckers back in the 30s and 40s in this country, especially in Manchester and the mill yards. Maybe we're going back to those.
We could use a lot more triple deckers in many areas of the state, and that's how the market used to respond to this kind of demand, and the market has been prevented by the advent of this restrictive zoning.
Rob Dappers, who is Executive Director of New Hampshire Housing, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you missed part of this briefing on housing needs going into the future, you can go to WMUR.com, where it will be posted all this week.